is the Rangers Journal Night.
Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to your Rangers Journal show on Monday, the 31st of March. Well, we'll be back to competitive SPL action at the weekend, and let's just say there's plenty to talk about. So we'll get straight into it in a minute. The sun's been shining here in Yorkshire. I hope it has with you, and I am joined by three rays of light to talk about this tonight. Hey, lads. Seamless. Ricky, how are you, pal?
Hi, Rossi. I'm good, pal. Saturday, obviously, we're going to talk about that. I was at the Harrogate game, hospitality, with all the Rangers supporters, and then we left there, went straight down to the club to watch the game. And God, that was a hard watch, especially that first half. It's a good outcome, but we'll get into that, I'm sure, in the next hour. But my God, that was a difficult watch in that first half.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say Sky probably got their money's worth of action and thrills and spills in that game for sure. I'm going to welcome Mark on to the pod. This is the first one I've done with you, Mark. So pleasure to share the screen with you. How are you, pal?
Yeah, all good. Similar to Ricky, to be honest. Would we have won it earlier on in the season? Probably not. So let's give credit where credit's due, and we showed a bit of character, I think. But as you say, we'll dissect that in the next 45 minutes or so, which will be good. Hopefully we can continue to keep winning. I
agree. Yes. And last but not least, Ryan, how are you, pal? Can't wait to get your thoughts.
Good to be here, Ross. Happy enough. So I was in a Scott's bad books last week. I got all about the pod on Friday, so I had to make sure I was Series A.
Good man. Well, it's great to have you on. Those watching at home, please do put your thoughts, observations from the game, or any questions you have for the panel. And we'll get to those as we go through. Before we begin, I'll just give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Off to the Match I Go. That's your one-stop shop for high-quality Rangers merchandise and memorabilia. So go and check them out on Facebook at Off to the Match I Go. And you can use the code Journal10 to get 10% off your order. So go check them out. It really is some cracking stuff on there. Right, Ricky, look, I want to get your thoughts on this. We're coming out of an international break. Barry's obviously had a lot of time to now actually reflect on the role, because I think this is probably the first actual sort of natural break that he's had. He's come in with what seems to be his new favoured formation. I'll talk you through the team in a second, but kind of, do you think he's starting to sort of sink slightly into his seat in terms of he's feeling a little more comfortable at the helm, and that sort of reactionary, impulsive feel that he probably had at the start is starting to subside?
Well, you're right with his formation. He's predominantly played with three at the back, with the two sort of wing backs providing the sort of the width and extra cover should it be required. And thus far, it's worked. We do not start well after any break, whether it's the winter break or whether it's an international break. We predominantly are always quite slow starters. So what happened the first half on Saturday probably isn't much of a surprise, but defending was just awful. It was like schoolboy stuff. A 2-goal lead. I know, as Mark said, we've come back, we've won that game, so we'll give the credit when the credit's due be going on to it. But I cannot understand just how poorly we were with players of. If you look at the budgets here, between us and Dundee, I know it was up in Dundee, I know we both had breaks, but they basically were ripping us apart. They were getting a lot of the breaks. I get that. But that second goal, for example, with Butland, it's just, considering the amount of money he's on, it's just schoolboy stuff. But we retrieved it in the second half, but it was very, very poor first half for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan asked the question there to Ricky about Barry. Now he's had time to reflect. Obviously, the games that he's coached, a lot of them have been high-profile games against tough opposition. You're looking at your Fenerbahces and those at the other side of the city. This feels like a more bread and butter sort of game. Were you surprised to see him go with perhaps the 3-5-2 that you would maybe think is more of a counter-attacking formation?
I thought he was going to keep that formation just specifically for the kind of your bigger ties, your Celtics and European ties, but maybe he's just trying to find a style of play, maybe continuity of that kind of what he's trying to coach in. I mean, he had a couple of weeks to get them on the training ground. As Ricky says, we never ever come back from any break well. So I'm with him on saying I wasn't surprised at how the first half unfolded. It's the first 2 goals are individual errors. Tavernier lets his man get the better of him for a corner, and then there's a between Sterling and Butland. So there's not a lot I don't think there's a lot he can do about individual errors. That's Tavernier's man beats him. Sterling and Butland between the 2 of them. Obviously, it's the personnel. Does he keep picking the personnel? But it's not. Seems as if it's not always the same guys. Maybe Butland's made a few prideful fouls, but I don't feel it feels as if it's just everybody takes their turn and making a wee error. And but I think he's hard enough for the hot seat. I think I like the way he calls them his players. It's my staff, my players, and just demands that kind of authority right away. I do like that about him. I'd love to see him get the job in my heart, but in my head, I'm not 100% sure yet.
Mark, we won't go into too much detail on the goals, really, because I think we were all witnessed it there and watched the highlights back. Going 2-0 down seems to be a common theme, or at least going down against teams, especially at home. It has been recently, but clearly this is away. Where was your head at when that second goal went in?
See when the goals went in, to be honest, I was at the game and I was in the stadium quite early. See the warm-up was horrific. Couldn't string 2 passes together. Raskin sort of then had a wee niggle and he pulled out the warm-up and get a wee rub and various bits and pieces, and he didn't sort of a kick in until, I don't know, 30 minutes in before we even get anything in it. I thought it was a strange one. I think as we've touched on already, it seems to be everybody's having a wee shot at individual errors now and again. Butland looked as though he'd turned the corner, made some good saves, and then again, as Ricky said, another error, and the errors are coming all across the board. But that was Kilmarnock in Ferguson's games, 2-0 to Kilmarnock. We got it back, obviously won the game, 2-0 down, 3-1 down again. As I say, you can't keep having to score 4 goals to win a game. That's major. That's going to come back and bite you, definitely. But I just think, I know he's kept the same shape. Well, technically the same shape, but I thought he tried to play it with 2 forwards with Dessers and Iggyman rather than 2 10s and Diomande and Cherny the way we've played it previously. He done something else in the warm up. It was very strange, I thought, as well, that probably wasn't seen on TV. But see, when they were doing the warm up, they set up in a back 4 to go and win headers, and they set up with a 4 of Tavernier, Ridvan, Suter and Balogun. But then when the game started, Tav was wide right and Ridvan was wide left, and Sterling dropped into a 3, didn't he? I don't know if he was trying to do that to try and put them off their game, a wee bit of gamesmanship to go, he's going to play with a 4, and how will you combat that? But it seems to be every time they play Simon Murray, he turns into Ronaldo for whatever reason. I don't know if he's that good against everybody else, but he turns into prime Ronaldo. But yeah, strange one, but we can't keep going 2 goals down. Definitely not.
Yeah, agreed with that. I think one of the key areas that needs to be fixed, and I'm sure we'll all agree with that, is our centre-back pairing. You know, our big money centre-back that we've brought in, Robin Propper, can't get on, even when you're 2-0 down. So that says enough about probably the depth or lack of that we have in the team. Ricky, look, we managed to claw a sort of fortuitous goal back just before half-time. Mark mentioned off-air there that he would have probably made 11 subs at half-time. What would have you said if you were Barry in that dressing room at half-time?
Well, I do get the impression he's not backward and coming forward. He sees it as it is, and that's the one good thing that you've got to hold your hat, take your hat off to Ferguson. He's not getting any mates in there. He's playing players who he feels fits into his system, and if a rollicking is needed, I'm pretty convinced that he will give that rollicking, and he'll give to everything that's required. So that's good news, and I think the rollicking they probably did get at half time materialised because we ended up being a totally different team in the second half. We changed a lot of personnel, and we changed the system, and it worked for us. So in hindsight, as you already alluded to, Ross, perhaps you shouldn't have went with the 3-5-2 to start with, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. But when we did change the system, we became a far stronger team. And I'm sitting watching that game with a couple of lads, and we were saying, we're not going to lose this game, we're not going to lose it. And that was a bit bizarre. We're 2-0 down. Yes, we got the own goal back for Tuesday before half time. But even then, when we went 3-1 down, I actually thought we would still at least get something from the game. Okay, we went on to win it, but I was quite confident we were going to get something from the game. But we desperately need some quality in there defensively. You've already mentioned it, Ross. We need a proper centre half, and I don't mean Robin proper. I've said in this pod on many occasions, we've got a lad down at Birmingham, Ben Davis, who's probably twice as good a player as proper, and yet one's on loan. We've got one that can't even make our team. I'm not saying Ben Davis is the answer, but I'm just saying the recruitment hasn't been anywhere near what is required, and to get a good game out of these guys every kind of three isn't acceptable. There's no continuity. Our left back, who was our best left back? Is it Jeffy? Is it Ridvan? They've both got their frailties. I don't rate Jeffy as a left back. I rate him as a football player, but not as a left back. He's too wide open. And Ridvan, unfortunately, his height goes against him. But, I would much rather see a decent left back in there. Tav, when he's in the back three, has been playing really, really well. But he didn't start in the back three on Saturday, so he's playing it right back again. Scored a cracking goal, but what was he doing up to that particular point? You know what I mean? So it just sort of brings to me the disjointness of our team, the formation. We changed it, and I was a bit confused of who was playing where, but it worked for us. But we just need a bit more quality defensively to start next season, because if we keep on continuing with the personnel we've got at the moment, then we're in trouble next year.
Yeah, agreed. Mark, I'm going to just throw something that Ricky said there in terms of personnel and understanding the best player in the best position. Do you think, I guess, Barry Ferguson now is wondering that himself and testing things out whilst he's got a bit of time and I guess a bit of grace, because in the league we can tinker and we're not going to be really competing for that league. And B, do you think he's looking to understand where the gaps are that we need to recruit in? He's sticking with Suter and Balogun for the time being, but I guess you might see Nsiala come in there as well and mix things up a bit.
I think Nsiala gives you a left-footed balance in that. I worry about him physically at times, even though he's a big lad, but he's just a young boy. I think if you're going to keep with a 3-5-2, I think Jeffrey's more suited to play as a wing back, because defensively we can cover at his back. I think even if he were to play a 4, I would like him to play one higher, wide left, to give you a left-footed balance, because I think he'll go to the byline, put crosses in and quite tall to attack the back post. But I just think overall we don't seem to have a set 2. I think Balogun, he got took off at half time. I don't know if that was an injury. I know he sort of went down awkwardly. I think it was a tackle originally, but is that him injured again? He was one of the ones that Celtic game I thought he struggled a wee bit. I don't want to go back over all games, but I thought he looked tired. And then I thought, well, he's going to get 13 days rest. He's going to be sort of he wasn't away in international duty. He had a full week off. And then he comes back and he did still look laboured, even though we had some sort of we missed Cherney, who was away internationally as well. But I don't know. I think Proper has to go. I agree. I think Davies is better than Proper. But I just think across the board, where do we turn to? I think we're looking for 2 big physical centre halves. But is it just because you want them just to play long? Suter a couple of times got the ball and drove into the gap, which allowed sort of it had been Sterling and then Balogun just to tuck in and naturally become a 4 if Ridvan and Tav were too high. So I think that's what he tried. As Ricky said, hindsight's wonderful, isn't it? He should just maybe stick with a 4. But I don't know. I think Fergie he's trying to put things out there, I think, to try and see what he's got best. But is that coming from guidelines from within, or is he thinking he's going to get the job and I'm going to highlight, right, we need centre half because we're not strong enough? There's a couple of questions in there, a couple of answers that I'm not quite sure in sort of what he's trying to do at times. But not what he's trying to do. He also wants to win 3 points, but I just mean, like, we don't have great cover. I seen a comment coming up there, and all we brought the boy Fernandez in, because he played about 12-15 minutes maybe of football since we bought him. Is that just another loan? That I know the boy's only young, but is it worth giving him a go? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, fair to say something needs to be done in that area. Yeah, done pretty quickly, I think. Ryan, let's go on to the goals then. Look, it was mentioned there, Tavernier did score. It was a brilliant goal. He took it extremely well. I think it was his 5th of the season. So quite a shy return for him, I guess. He's been asked to play in a certain number of different positions, so that probably hasn't helped. And then Tom Lawrence scored a cracking goal. Tom Lawrence, the forgotten man. Where's your head up with that guy? Do you think he's kind of gone in the summer, or do you think there's maybe a role for him?
No, I would probably like to see the back of Tom Lawrence, to be honest, and it's a bit harsh, I think, but it's just I don't think he's got the legs for it. He is definitely a game changer, and he's got that in his locker. Get you a goal out of nothing, but I just feel as if if he starts a game, he really affects the press and stuff like that. Doesn't he really? I just think they look a lot slower with him in the team. I don't know what kind of wage he'd be on. Obviously, his contract's up. There's a contract up in the summer, isn't it? So couldn't imagine what kind of wage he'd be on. But I'd probably like to see the back of Tom Lawrence, to be honest. And I do like him as a football player. And I think his injuries have really hampered his time at Rangers as well.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. And look, we finished the game 90 plus 3 minutes, Ricky. And our main man, who will come on to very shortly, Cyril Dessers, pops up with, well, a fantastic finish, a clinical finish at that time of the game. Please don't slate me in the comments for using the term clinical with Cyril Dessers, and we'll come on to that in a second. But what a goal, Ricky, and what a way for him to mark his 100th game for Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, as a Dundee fan, he must be raging in the big centre half. You know, he's really mistimed, deflated that ball, knocked it into Dessers' sort of a chest. First touch in his chest was fantastic, and he got there just in front of the keeper. Great finish. And I was elated for the boy. We all were, because you know he's a very affectionate lad. I think we all can say that he comes across as a really nice person, just not the best finisher. Although his stats would probably tell you that he's up there with the best we've got and have been for the past sort of umpteen years. It's just the amount of chances he does miss is unfortunately reflects in the sort of negativity and what is the enigma, which is Cyril Dessers. I mean, even in the first half, in the second half, he scored a cracking goal, albeit he was offside by a metre or so, half a metre. But he got round the keeper and he finished it ever so well. But then he had other chances which should have been buried straight at the keeper on a couple of occasions. Either a good save or is it bad miss? That's just Cyril Dessers. But he took that goal absolutely fantastic, and he has scored some really, really important goals for us this season. But he's just so frustrating, isn't he? Let's be all agree on that. Yeah, good finish from him.
We'll come on to Dessers just in a minute there, but I think that's a really good summary. Ryan, there's a question here that I think is worth reflecting on, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and those at home as well. No one wants to have to claw back games. No one wants to have to, come back from 2-3 goals down or be in a challenging fixture. You want a 4-0 every game, happy days, rest, bring on you young players, rest legs, keep people fresh. That's the optimal situation, right? But does playing against a team like Fenerbahce when they're beating us at Ibrox and we have to really dig deep, does getting pegged back by Celtic to 2-2 but still showing that courage to come through, does being 3-1 down away from home at Dundee but coming back again, does that instill some sort of confidence and belief in the players that seemingly Barry's been able to do, that actually no situation is irretrievable? I think you look at a lot of the games when Clement was in, and if we were 1-2-0 down, heads gone, crowd on the back, game over, and we all knew it was game over. Do you think it gives them some level of confidence that actually they have the quality, if they keep plugging away and they keep going, to get the result in the end?
Definitely, Ross. They're definitely good enough. And I think that's maybe they were forgetting. Maybe Barry had to stall back into them. That they are good enough. They're good enough to beat Rangers. But as Barry keeps harping on and banging on about his character and having a bit more about you than just being a good player. And I think that's the main. If you want to say the main and biggest improvement from Ferguson coming out is installing that never die attitude, which is what we all wanted from Barry Ferguson. I think that's what we all half expected from Ferguson. It was the way he was as a player and a captain. So in terms of that, definitely, I think Barry's brought a new belief into that group of players that they can. It's even as well. At 3-1 down, I still on 2-0 down. I still fancy this to come back, and it's a feeling I probably wouldn't have had at the start of the first half of the season. Even at set against Celtic as well. See the 2-2. I still felt we were the team that would score. The winner at Celtic Park, I still felt that way. The commentators might have said otherwise, but I thought it was us. I thought we would have been the team to score. And he has installed that into him. It's just it's a togetherness. It's everybody, us against the world kind of way of going about management. And I think it's a good way to go about it, especially when a team's took a lot of criticism from media and fans and stuff like that. So it's kind of like let's prove everybody wrong. It's us against the world, backs to the wall, and I think Barry Ferguson's done that brilliantly.
Yeah, really good summary, Ryan. Mark, what kind of belief and I guess self-belief does it give the players when they can continue to, yes, underperform? Yes, there are individual errors. That's obvious. You know, anyone could see that. But clawing themselves back into games, trusting the process and trusting their ability to get a result, and clearly that pulled through. What does that do for those players between now and I guess the rest of the season?
Yeah, I think like the points we've touched on, what we've done at the start of the year, so they need to take belief from it. But they always say, don't they? Like I remember under even Walter at times and Alec McLeish, even, which I think Ferguson could sort of emulate McLeish in sort of we didn't have any great money, our team wasn't great, but McLeish went and won trophies. I think they say a good side in it is no playing well and winning games. So that's what we've done. That's what we've done there. As I say, unfortunately, you can't, and we won't get away with just playing okay for 45 minutes. You know what I mean? That will come back to bite you at one point, but they need to take belief. He's showed in, I think, every game we've played. I think we've played either 2 or 3 formations within the game. He's not scared to make changes. He's not scared to do that. He's, as Ryan said earlier on, it's his players, and he's taking that responsibility. It would have been quite easy for Ferguson to come in at this time, and nobody probably expected it from him to do it, but to come in and go, well, I'm just trying to work with the players I've got and not take any responsibility. He's out there, he's at the front of that touchline or that technical area, and he's screaming orders for 45 minutes, and then for the next 45 minutes, and he's trying to show them, look, you can do this. Try to maybe change a wee bit of their mindset. And I know Butland even spoke about standards and various bits and pieces as well. So I think when you win games in it breeds confidence. So I'm back for European. The next 4 games are quite difficult, to be honest. If you look at Hibs, I think they're probably the most formed team in the league, I think, points-wise, I think, in the last 6 or 7 games. And obviously Bilbao, and then away to Aberdeen, which we know ourselves we're never going to get any favours, going to be to Pittodrie at 12 o'clock on a Sunday, and then Bilbao again. So the next 4's massive. It could be, technically, we all hope it's not, it could be the end of our season, a week on Thursday, because the league, unfortunately, is gone. And then does that change his mindset again? He try some of the young players in the last remaining sort of a split fixtures, as opposed to, what's the point of putting any disrespect? And there's no point in playing bargain for the last 6 games if you can't win nothing. You may as well go and say, that's going to be one of your starters next year, sort of another 6 games, and let him find his feet in the game. So I think that when hopefully Europe runs right through until we all hope we're back at Bilbao and in May time, that's the aim and the plan. But if it doesn't, then I think when do you bleed these boys in? When do you see a Fernandes? When do you see a Cortez that you're going to buy? You're going to pay money for? You may as well try and see them in a competitive game as opposed to a summer and a friendly against, I don't know, some German 4th division team, and we beat 5-0, closed doors, you know.
Yeah, really good summary there. And a lot of the comments that are coming in are saying something very similar to what you're saying. The belief, the sort of the understanding of that on pitch, probably the mentality of the players, and Ferguson's been there and done it, and leading players through that is really lending him well, and seems that he's willing to adapt and sort of take his medicine and bring players on if he has to, and admit that he's got it wrong, which is something that I think we've all been crying out for all season, especially with Clement. Look, Ricky, we're gonna get into a few the sort of detail behind a few players here and their performances, and it'd be really good to get your thoughts. It's been touched on before, and I know in the pod we've spoken about it before, but this is another example of Jack Butland are very much an unforced error inside his own 6-yard box, where he should be commanding that ball and taking anything out in front of him to make sure he's getting that ball. Where do you sit with Jack Butland? Is he the man? Can he regain that form that we all know he has in the locker? Or do you think we need to look elsewhere and start bringing someone else in with potential resale value as an example?
Yeah, that's a lot. Well, no, he's not the answer long term when a new owner's come in. I think we need to move him on or keep him there if you can afford them, but competing for a jersey with somebody who's going to be forcing them to not make mistakes. And it's not just Butland though. I mean, ever since Clement before he gets sacked, we have never had any continuity. We maybe get up to 15, 20 minutes of games who have played well, but we've never been able to play well for 90 minutes. There's always teams, no matter who they are, SPL, when it's in Europe, we're up against it. Now, yesteryear, we would always go on a little run of playing well, looking as if we're going to win games, going into games, backing ourselves. And that's not been the case for the past maybe 2 seasons. It ended up losing Gio his job, Beale his job, because we just cannot get that continuity going. And it's not through lack of budgets. I mean, we've spent quite a little bit of money. And this is where Ferguson's problem is for me at the moment. He's trying to find a system where everybody can buy into that system, whether it's against Dundee, whether it's against Fenerbahce, whatever. They're all playing the same way. But individual mistakes is certainly costing us, and it's not the first time Jack Butland has cost us. And I've said in this post on numerous occasions, as those other guys as well, Jack Butland's a big strapping lad and does not commandeer that 6-yard line at all. And he's very, very poor at narrowing angles. The third goal, he should have stopped that. The guy's actually outside the 6-yard box, as angle-wise, I mean. All Jack Butland had to do really was be maybe 2-3 metres towards him, all of a sudden angle. I mean, I'm not a goalkeeper, but that's basics. And Jack Butland does it time and time again. Kiriak, whatever his name is, the Japanese lad, he used to just pass a ball by Jack Butland on numerous occasions, and it's all because of Butland's angles. Is he a good shot stopper? Yes, but he's consistently letting us down. And I said it, as you know yourself, Ross, with Alan McGregor. As much as the legend Alan McGregor was, he was at Ibrox 2 years far too much and cost us points after points after points. People were going against me saying, he's a great guy. He was a goalkeeper. But he was finished. And I think we're in the stage now where Butland is heading the exact same way. We were all saying a year ago that Southgate should have called him up to the England squad. And I think we now know the reason why he wasn't getting called up to the England squad, because he's got a mistake in him.
Mm-hmm. I'd argue that all keepers do, but I think we're seeing a lot more of it this year. Ryan, what's your thoughts? What would you do with Jack Butland come the summer?
It's just a bit of a headache with it, isn't it? Because he's a good goalkeeper. He's shown that recently, especially against Fenerbahce. I think you've just got to kind of get him to the end of the season and see how we're looking. If you can find that form. It's with a bad season, consistency-wise anyway. But definitely has been a good keeper for us in the first season. We were all ranting and raving about him. So you're hoping he could refine that form. Maybe second season syndrome. Sometimes this happens with players. I don't know how much resale value we'd have on Butland either. It would be worth a while getting rid of him. I'm on the fence with Butland at the moment. I don't know. I like him, but he's really, I'm starting to lose my patience with him as well.
Yeah. Mark, good to get where your head's at with him.
I think Tynecastle away, the game that's Hearts battered us, but we won the game. I thought he was back. I think that the boys have mentioned it. See, since he didn't get called up to the squad, for the England squad, what he thought he did, he did a mistake against Celtic, and I don't think he's been the same goalkeeper. But look, he's your number one. Would you rather have him or Liam Kelly? Liam Kelly played lots of games for Motherwell, played in the league, gets all the fundamentals right, but has he got the attitude? I don't know. Would Neuer look good playing behind Robin Proper? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think the defence has got a lot to deal with as well, and I think that there's a nervousness with your defence at the moment, and I think that's going on to Butland, where we're hoping Jack's a big, as you said, Ricky, a big strapping lad, come and clear the box, come and do the good things. I think, unfortunately, if he's doing them week in, week out, he's not at Rangers. I think he's at Rangers because he's got a mistake. like Dessers is here because he doesn't score every chance. I think we need to figure out where we're at. We maybe have a resale value, but then where do you go next to bring someone in? I think that's the thing. I think maybe only get 2 years left in his deal, so if it is going to move back down south at the moment, would Kelly be good enough, or where do you turn your attention to next for a goalkeeper? I quite like Butland, as I say. I know he's got a mistake in him, but I think over the piece he's maybe more mistakes than anybody this year. But if you look at sort of when was the last time we played 5 games in a row with the same back four? And you talk about continuity and try to get the spine of your team, your goalkeeper, 2 centre halves, 2 centre mids and centre forward. If you're not getting that, and Shooter was injured and Cropper and Ciara, Bargain's been in, Sterling's played in there, Tav's played in there, played as a 3, played as a 4, played as a 5. I think that, I know they're big internationals and big players, and I totally get that, but that must have a wee bit of a thought on it. As I say, I'm no defending Butland at all, but I was behind him the first half. You could hardly see where he should have a hat on. The sun was quite low. I'm not defending him. It could have been anybody, to be honest, for the goal, but it's bread and butter, innit? He's thinking where's he throwing the ball to next and doesn't gather the ball and it bounces off him. And obviously Shaughnessy then gets maybe Ronaldo gets a hit first and it saves that, and then Shaughnessy tips it in, but as I say, I think we've held on to players too long in the past when they've had a resale value. So I think we need to get that right as a club, as a whole. If there is a resale value there, I think 31 now, so probably still his best years ahead of him as a goalkeeper, to be honest. But maybe what Ryan said, second season syndrome. But if he's your number one next year, I think it gives us a good platform to build a solid base. If we're going to have 2 big centre halves that's going to play 50 games next season, as opposed to you've got 4 centre halves to now all play 25 each and it's no altogether.
Yeah. For what it's worth, Mark, I'm in your camp as well. I think there will be churn, there will be turnover with players at Ibrox. We know that, with potential new ownership and all of the ramifications and changes that comes with that. I think one thing that we were crying out for at the start of the season was leadership. Where are you can't build I know this, the famous saying, you can't win anything with a bunch of kids, but it's very hard to win things with a group of unestablished young players who are pretty much new to the country. And I think that's kind of what we were facing into. I think Butland offers you more than just, a high quality goalkeeper, which he is the majority of the time. He offers that leadership and experience, and he's played at a good level, and he's played internationally, and he has played at a standard above probably what a lot of those players will have played at. So I think if you had a new backline in front of him with fresh legs, fresh energy, more leadership around him to share the burden a little bit, then I think we could start to build that, and it'll take confidence for him. It will. I'm sure that he knows what's going on, and his confidence is probably at the lowest it's ever been as a Rangers player, and that takes time to establish back again, right? So for me, I think we keep him on. I think we continue with his role in that dressing room and build from there, for what it's worth. And actually, do you know what? If we'd have taken our chances, which we had multiple of on Saturday night, then maybe we wouldn't have been in the position where Butland's mistake was so contentious, I guess. Which brings me on to our next player, Ricky, the man, the myth, the legend, the enigma himself, Big Cyril Dessers. Look, talk me through, I guess, your overall feeling of Dessers' performance on Saturday night.
It's like he works hard. He
sums
works
it up.
I just positionally at times he's caught off. He's always caught offside far too many times. He takes far too many touches, as we all know. When he should get a shot away as quickly as possible, he just needs that. Always wants that extra touch. But his work ethos is fantastic. But he can't hold up the line like Morelos used to be able to do. Morelos would link the play because he could do that job with the back to goal and link the play. That's not Dessers' strong point. But he does run the channels well, and he always seems to find the right place to be in a position. So there's definitely something there with Dessers. It's just the chances he's missing are just it's the big talking point. It's it's what's letting us down. And as you say, Jack Butland's mistake has cost us a goal, but the amount of chances we've got at the other end of the park, we can almost, allow for these mistakes. We should be going and winning in these games quite comprehensively, prior to Christmas, I think there was something like, I don't know, it was about 8 games where we won games just by the single goal. They could have went either way. One being Hibs back at Ibrox the last time they were here. We won the game 1-0, but they had 18 shots on target that Dundee Hibs. And it's just sort of illustrates what we talked about earlier on, that the formation and the players, the personnel we have, we just haven't got a solid base to work from. And when it comes to strikers, yes, Dessers is chipping in, but we don't get enough goals from our midfield players. We've got nothing coming in. Yesteryear we used to get goals from all over the pitch, didn't we? That just doesn't happen anymore. Cherny aside, it only is really Dessers that's putting the ball in the back of the net for us. And it's a problem. So when hopefully the new owners come in and they do give whoever the manager is going to be some money to strengthen, we've got to get this next period of recruitment right. We can't keep on saying he's a good player, blah, 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 because there's been season after season after season where it's just not been good enough. We've got to start getting the majority of our recruitment right instead of the other way about.
Ryan, Cyril Dessers, talk to me.
I like a big man, to be honest. It gets us selling in positions. There's not a lot of strikers that would miss the chances he misses and keep missing them and keep getting to selling positions to eventually score a winner at the end. It was a poor performance. Of course, as if he's hitting 12 shots on target, 12 attempts, I think Dean Crocker was saying he scores one of them. It's a field day at the office, but the most important goal he scored the most important goal of the game. He's won the game in the end. I think his movement is brilliant. He could do a bit better with his offsides. Funnily enough, he scores his offside goal, doesn't he? He misses every chance to one that's offside. I knew it. As soon as he slammed back, he'll be offside. I just knew it. But I think in terms of him being your striker to go and win your titles, I think it's a bit of a headache because he misses a lot of chances, and it can also, I think, missing chances sometimes can get the heads down if he's missing glaring opportunities. But fair play to him. I think as well he gets a bit of a hard time because he's so nice. I think because he's always got the thumbs up and the big smile on his face. I don't know, he's me when he does that. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, you smiling, but you just missed about the first chance in a row. So I think because Morelos missed chances as well. Morelos missed sitters. But I think we just let Morelos off a bit more because he had that nastiness about him. He's definitely going to split the fans, opinion-wise. But I like him. He's probably my starting number 9 as well, still right now at the moment, out of the 3 strikers. If we're playing 2, obviously I'd like to see a good man up there with him. But sell-on wise, I don't think we're at a stage where we could really. I think if he's going to go out and go this summer, age-wise. So if he goes, I would like it to be this summer before keeping a hold of him if there is interest. I know I'd probably like to get rid, even though I like him as a player. I just think if we want to get anything for him or recoup any money for him, we probably need to be this summer.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair comment. I think his value is probably at the highest it's been now since he's been at the club. So if there is that view to resell him, it's probably now. Mark, do you think Dessers symbolises the way Rangers have performed over the past 2 years? Fantastic in patches and, incredible nights and incredible moments, but actually over the show, the however many months he's been with the club, it's just not at the level consistently that we need.
Yeah, I think you have that argument. There's a point you go through about the good thing for me the other night was we made chances for him to miss. In other games, he's missed the one chance and we've only made one chance, and that's when we've dropped points. So we're making chances. I think he scored 45 goals in 100 starts or 100 appearances. For a centre forward that doesn't hit penalties, that's a crack return. So I had this argument 2 years ago when he first came in, and I'm like, well, take Dessers out the way. If somebody scored you 25 goals and 10 assists in his first season in the country, you'd have snapped their hand off for it. But I think it was Ross who spoke about it, and we're not getting enough goals for elsewhere. So everything that Dessers does is highlighted. We went through a wee part in the season where Danilo and Igaman sort of played that wee role as a one, and they sort of linked well and scored some goals, and Dessers had a wee set shot on the sideline. But I think, unfortunately, I think 31, his stock's quite high. He's done quite well in Europe. I think he's very instinctive. Ricky, I think you touched on it. He sometimes takes an extra touch. Even he doesn't have to think, like Old Trafford. Dundee away, Dundee United away, sorry. Left foot finish, top corner. I know he chopped back away to Betis, and he does do that, but I think that's what it is. Sometimes he's got too much time to think. As you see, he scores the two hardest chances he's got the other night. I know the keeper's made some good saves, but a lot of them are straight at him. It's saved him his leg or whatever. You're hoping a wee bit more finesse in that, and you pass it under the goalie or through his legs. Whereas I think that's what it is when he has to think, or he's got time to think. I think Kenny Muller used to be the exact same for me. When he had loads of time, he'd get caught up and then became a better finisher as he gets slightly older. Sort of a one-touch finishes and sort of a better like that. When Dessers doesn't have to think, I think that's when he becomes instinctive. Like, he takes the ball on his chest or a night when he comes out, the keeper's already at him, so he knows right, I need to hit it first time. If the keeper stays in his line, he probably takes a touch there and tries to chop back on his left foot to score. Whereas sometimes when he's got too much time, I think that's when he struggles. But I think you echo the boys. I think 31 in the summer. I think there's a few that need to go out the door. Do you win the league with him as your number one striker? I'm not quite sure. I'm just not quite sure, unfortunately.
Yeah, fair summary. I'm going to play devil's advocate again. I actually think that since the new coaching team have come in, I have noticed that Dessers has taken things a lot quicker. Even the shots that he did hit, they were low and hard, which always stands you a good chance. You know, they were on his weaker foot. They were low and hard. Yes, the keeper made, a couple of saves and ideally he would have put those in the corners, but I think the actual, the intention was right, and I think he connected well with them, and he wasn't chopping and changing and trying to dwell on the ball. He was getting them away quickly. So that shows for me that he's open to listening to the advice that he's being given, and he's responding to that through his actions on the pitch. On another day, I think 3 of those probably go in, and he walks away with the match ball, realistically. So even though they were low and at the keeper's legs, so to speak, I think he was kind of unfortunate to an extent. But look, he kept plugging away, and what else can you ask? The big man's got a heart of gold, and I think he really enjoys playing for the club and literally gives his everything on the pitch, which, at this stage of the season, it's kind of all we want to see from our players, right? So he's definitely living up to that. Right, gents. I'm going to have to wrap this up now. We could probably sit here and talk about this all night. Ricky, any closing thoughts from yourself, pal?
Just one, a negative one, really. Yes, we won the game 4-3, but you have to realise in that second half, they hit the bar twice, and the lad Tiffany missed an absolute sitter. So we could just quite easily have lost that game, albeit we won it. So we've talked about Dessers, we've talked about our central midfield was nowhere to be seen on Saturday either, because there was far too many gaps, far too many spaces, and those balls were going down the channels just far too easily. It left Butland exposed. As I said, Butland hit the post twice, not the same guy, but hit the post twice, and then that Tiffany lad missed an absolute sitter. So, there's work to be done. But I think Ferguson's, as Ryan's already alluded to it, and yourself, Ross, he's installing a togetherness, and that's great to see. Yes, mistakes are going to happen, but as long as we can keep that togetherness together, maybe add 1 or 2 different bits of quality, then who knows? Yeah, we got the job done. Move on to Saturday. I'm actually going to the game on Saturday, which I'm really looking forward to, and I'm hoping to see an open, fluent game, and not the one that Hibs turned up last time at Ibrox, albeit it was a 1-0 victory, but for what I can remember, they deserved to win that game that day.
Yeah. Well, enjoy that, Ricky. Ryan, any closing thoughts from yourself, pal? Good to have you on.
No, I think we covered it all there. I'll let you crack on, lads.
No worries at all. Mark, thanks very much for coming on, pal. Great to have you on. Any thoughts from yourself?
No, similar to Ryan, I think we've covered quite a lot. Hopefully we can keep winning. Fergie's sort of a job application keeps going on for another week, can it, to see if he gets any closer. But no, I think, Ricky, you're right. I think Hibs did give us a bit of doing. Lawrence scored a fantastic goal, I think. And Butland saved a penalty, I think. But to be honest, I know we want to see better football, but I'll take 1-0 every game for now at the end of the season. One game's of football. 3 points. We all want lovely passing and triangles, and I don't care. One game's. One's game breeds confidence. Win the next one. Pick one off at a time.
Does indeed. And we know we've got some big games coming up. As you rightly said, it's a tough set of fixtures coming up for us. We've got exciting European ties and then heading into the split. So let's see how we can navigate through that, shall we? Look, thank you everyone for watching at home. If you don't already, please do like and subscribe. Subscribing will allow you to put comments and questions into the panel in the future. So make sure to do that. And remember, every night is the Rangers Journal night.